Tonight, we celebrate the life of Denny O'Neil.
Hello everyone, I'm Christian Gossett, speaking to you today on behalf of the Hero Initiative, where myself, Jim McLaughlin, Joseph Michael Linsner, and a cavalcade of yet-to-be-announced comic book stars are putting together something really, really awesome that's never been attempted. We're really looking forward to telling you guys more about it, so please stay tuned. As always, everything we do will benefit the great cause that is the Hero Initiative.
This is the Great Legend. I'm coming at you live tonight, fans, with Comic Corps Roundtable. As you saw in the intro video, today is a sad day. We lost probably one of the greatest influential writers of the 20th century in Denny O'Neil. And we're going to be talking about Denny O'Neil tonight. But first, let me introduce my co-host back there, Mr. Sailor the Cat. He's chilling, just kidding. Our co-host tonight, KatRen Figures. Kat, how's it going tonight?
Well, of course, it's a pretty sad event for all of us comic nerds. But at least we've come together with our comic fam, and we're going to discuss it, and we're going to have our Friday night show and try to celebrate and cherish what he gave us and what he gave the world of comics.
That's right. Denny O'Neil, one of the best, and one of the best in the Comic Corps, is with us here tonight. He's here every Friday night, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, and I'm talking about Comic Corps Chad. Chad, what's going on, my friend?
Not much. Just getting to hang with the family and talk comics and have an old school show. I'm enjoying it.
Totally just too sweet. And the guy that made that beautiful intro video for Denny O'Neil, very touching video, our guest of the night, JD Comics from the Golden Guys. JD, what's happening, man?
Great to be here, everybody. I'm really happy to be a part of this show.
And me too. Tonight, fans, we got a great show. We're going to be talking Denny O'Neil. But before we get to Denny O'Neil, I want to know, on this roundtable, KatRen Figures, what did you get this week in the realm of comic books and pop culture? Did you get any cool stuff, or did you read any great books?
All right, so I went to my comic shop this week. I've got my order from Midtown coming and everything. But I went to my local comic shop, and I went in mind. There were 2 books that I wanted to pick up. I wanted to pick up some more long boxes, and then there were 2 books that were coming out. I wanted to get the polybag variant for Faithless Volume 2, Issue 1. They did not have that. And I wanted to get the new Image #1 Adventure Man that had all the Rachel Dodson art. They did not have that either. However, I did read something pretty awesome this week. And I read it completely on a fluke. You know those annoying ads that are circulating all over the platform right now for webtoons, and web comics? They're so annoying, and they just play these like over-pumped ads at the beginning of everything. You can't skip past them.
Yeah.
Well, one of them caught my attention.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Damn it, they have dragons. So I have been reading Sub-Zero on Webtoon, the platform.
Nice.
And in the last 2 days, I have read the entire run of Sub-Zero to date. So
nice.
I enjoyed it. I thought the art was spectacular.
Beautiful dragons.
Gorgeous artwork. The creator behind it, her tagline's Juniper, like, June and then purr, like a cat. And she always has like these cute little like messages at the end of all of her comics. And she does all of the work herself. All of that art is her own. And I mean, it's just fantastic. So the whole idea behind it is It's two warring kingdoms that are led by these royals who can turn themselves into dragons.
Oh my
basically.
God, that sounds cool.
And this war has been going on for over 300 years now. And it's been very bloody, and it's cost quite a bit to both kingdoms. And they've decided that they are going to try to break a peace between the kingdoms before both of them perish.
Wow.
Now, what is the best way to destroy a war of over 300 years and cause an actual lasting peace?
What?
It's not through a paper. It's not through a treaty on paper. It's through a treaty of peace by blood. So, the Crimson Kingdom has a young prince that's about ready to take the throne, and the Cerulean Kingdom has a young princess who's about ready to take her throne. And they're going to get married off to each other. And all hell breaks loose. The art is gorgeous. The character development and all the fighting going on throughout, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I've been annoying him to no end because they actually have music that plays while you're reading the comic, and it gives you a little warning, like, play this music, and it's pretty fantastic. I'm driving him nuts with it.
But when you get to read something like that and you can hear that audio track going on in the background with the story you're reading, it really puts you into the action and the violence of some of that stuff that's going on with those dragon families,
But since I started reading it, I actually got an alert that it is now number 5 on that platform.
Oh.
So huge shout out to Juniper. That's a huge thing.
That's really freaking awesome. And Mark, sir, what are you eating tonight, my good friend?
A burrito. What kind of burrito? What is in your burrito?
So there is tuna, cheese, and hamburger with sriracha.
Wow, I don't know about
that's
tuna
weird.
Stuff, I'm more of a down here in Texas. We have burritos and beef in our burritos.
Maybe a bean, right?
A bean, yeah.
Maybe a
my
bean.
Friend, we got Chad here. Chad, what have you read this week, or did you pick up any cool things this week in the world of comics and pop culture, my friend?
Got that hat.
My hat's bigger than JD's.
It is.
Well, that's a great looking hat, and I hope it didn't cost very much. I mean, it's near mint 9.8 on you, brother.
Look at that. It's got lines
Hey,
on
it keeps the sun off his face. Don't judge.
So I did get Carson 2 books.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
And this is my pick of the week right here.
Batman. Oh yes, Batman: The Adventures Continue. If I don't get it by tomorrow, I'm calling my comic shop very angry. It should come tomorrow for me.
Oh, we can talk about that too, about stuff not coming in that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whoa, hey.
Oh,
that's a conundrum. That's a conundrum.
Hello, hat.
Dang hat. I'd totally take that back. That's all right, buddy.
We'll go back to the old headsets. Okay, so I just got my DC books. My pick of the week was actually the Batman Adventures.
Oh god, that looks so cool.
I did pick up Archangel 2, Archangel 8-2 from AWA. I said I wasn't going to show this, and so I lied. So I'm going to show it anyway, and I'm going to tell a story about it, but I'm not going to say who it's from because he asked me not to. So if you guys don't know, I used to play baseball, and this guy right here is Ted Williams.
Damn.
This is my holy grail, right?
Holy crap.
I'm not going to be throwing any strap over my shoulder or pretending to be a lumberjack or anything like that. But I got a package, and so this package had some thought put into it, and it was, and it actually as soon as I opened it, I told my wife. I said, I got to go up to my mom's and show my mom and dad because it's pretty freaking amazing. But I got Life magazine from 1941.
Oh, my goodness.
With Ted Williams on it.
I know where you can get an E. Gerber Mylar for the life-size magazines.
Oh, check this out. I
That's a
got
historic piece of art.
there is
Historic piece.
this here. It says turn to centerfold, right?
Okay.
So I open it up. There's a book and I don't know what this thing's called. I think it's called a bag, right?
Blondie. You got Blondie and Dagwood on the cover. That's a classic.
So it's a bag and board of Blondie comics,
Mhm.
1941.
Golden age, man.
See a theme going on here, right? And if you turn to the centerfold, which is crazy, you got Ted Williams,
Oh my God.
right?
It's amazing how whoever gave you this knew Ted Williams was in that particular centerfold. I mean, that's awesome, dude.
I got a poster of Ted Williams,
Oh God, man.
That's cool.
right?
That's him hitting the ball. That's that classic Ted Williams swing.
I played left field. I wore number 9. My dog's name was Ted. I mean, his batting average was 406.9. I mean 406. He was going into a double. I know this guy inside and out, and this here freaking blew my freaking mind. He got a GI Joe.
Dang, a Ted Williams
Oh,
G.I.
Ted
Joe
Williams.
figure?
Oh, damn.
Right? Look at this.
It looks just freaking like him.
Dude, you need to
Face
get a
everything.
shelf for that.
Yeah,
Stick
and
it behind you.
this
God, I'd
is
put it in my wallet somehow.
absolutely. This is. It's got a story on here, like things that like people don't know. Like he was in the war twice, right? He was in World War, and he went back to the Korean War, and he was a fighter pilot, right? His wingman was John Glenn. So he was,
Dang.
Ted Williams was a better pilot than John freaking Glenn. John Glenn told me a story that Ted Williams rescued their ass, right? He saved all of them. And he was shot so many times because he drew the fire that when he was coming back, he wasn't a super religious man, right? And they said that he was definitely going to crash, and he said, "No, I'll make it." They said, "Ted, you have no fuel. You're on fire." He said, "No, I'll make it." And he took the plane up as high as he can, and he came in super, super fast, super low, and he landed. He crash landed. There was no wheels. He just landed, and the admiral at the time comes running down, and he ran right to Ted as Ted is walking away from a burning plane. And he says something to Ted, and Ted walks away, and this guy runs up to Ted and said, "What did he say?" He goes, "Oh, he just wanted my autograph." I mean,
Dang.
Williams hated the press. He hated celebrity. He just liked the game. And like the day he
Hated the fame, only wanted the game.
Yeah, that's it. That's all he wanted. And on his last, so in 1942, he was, or 41, he was batting 3.9999999999. They were going into a double header, and they were going to sit him, right? They said, "Ted, we're going to sit you. We're going to round you up. You're going to be 400. You're going to beat Ty Cobb. You're going to Ty Cobb. You're going to be the next person at bat 400, right?" Well, Ted says, "No, I'm going to go out wearing my boots on." He went 6 for 8 on the day with 2 dingers and batted and finished that year batting 406. He's the last man to bat 400.
Dang, dude.
And like it's kind of like Denny O'Neil era. These are the greats. These are the people that like the greatest generation that ever lived.
True.
You know, I mean, I reflect on my grandfather a lot when I say this because my grandfather never cussed a day in his life. Never cussed. The worst he ever said, "Jumpin' G Willikers." And like these men were gentlemen, right? You're not going to see them going out there and making fools of themselves. And we've all done that. But they were gentlemen. They held the door for the ladies. They said, "Excuse me." "Yes, ma'am." you know, they were what we aspire to be and what we should aspire to be, especially in this time of treating people equal. But we should have respect, and they respected $1, they respected a dime, you know. And for the person that found me this, thank you. And that was awesome. I mean, that is a true A-OK, you know.
That's what I'm talking about. No doubt the people in the chat.
Like, it might not matter to most people. It doesn't have doesn't have a monetary value to most people. But I would choose this over a Marvel Ultimate Fallout number 4 with first appearance of Miles Morales. I would just this Blondie here, in my eyes, is amazing.
Oh yeah, hell
it's
yeah,
your grail.
Yeah, like
That's your grail.
yeah, this is amazing, and not even to know what this is. Come on, guys, like that's how you treat a person. So
that's what I'm talking about. And you know what? What I loved about it, Chad, was right when you showed that stuff, you could see the passion. You know, you weren't just showing something to show something, and show it off because, hey, look at me, I got this Golden Age book, blah blah blah. This stuff means something to your heart, and that person, whoever sent that to you, they knew that was one of your loves, man. The love of the game and your love for baseball. That's what it's all about. And you know, that's pop culture. Ted Williams is pop culture, probably the greatest hitter who ever freaking lived, you know. So, man, awesome. JD, my friend, again, beautiful Denny O'Neil tribute. We will be playing that at the very end. I'm going to be sharing when the show's over, I'm going to be sharing a little monologue from our good friend Jim McLaughlin over there at Hero Initiative, of some things that he wrote for Denny O'Neil that he wanted us to share with you tonight. So I'll be reading that, and we're going to play JD's tribute again. But JD, my friend, what has been going on for you, brother, in the pop culture comic book world?
Well, I went to my comic shop and was disappointed that no new books, and I was trying to get really only one book on my list was the new Daredevil, I guess 20 to Chip Zdarsky. I didn't get it, so I went digital with it, and I called and just canceled that one. But while I was there, I picked up another copy of Avengers Endgame for this reason alone, because I wanted to frame this, because I got last week, it came in last week, and I bought from the original art auction the double-page spread.
Oh my gosh.
Avengers, and there they all are. And this is a great, End Times is the name of the book. This is 2012, and it just so happens that Ant-Man, this is Hank Pym Ant-Man, by the way, Hank Pym over there, as Red Hulk, where they have to go and shrink down to a size that they've never done before. They have the Avengers go to another universe to go rescue Wasp to save the world, kind of like that movie we saw last year, you know. And this is the double-page spread by Mike Mayhew, and he signed it and shipped it to me, and he gave me a lesson on shipping original art. It was the most amazing way to do it. Picked up a frame, and I was all excited. It is now one of my favorite published pieces I have. I mean, it goes right up there with my Jason Aaron. I mean, my
that's fantastic, JD.
Yeah, and this was great, and that was on that art weekend, the Comic Art Fans art auction that day, and I was on the preview. I paid a little extra to go in like a couple hours early, and saw that piece. Immediately said I'll take it. I was looking for that piece, and I did email Mike Mayhew a little bit to say, hey, if you're doing a piece, this is the one I'm looking for, and I own it now. I'm very happy.
I mean, and also tell him what he charged you for shipping.
Nothing. not a. And I even asked him, what do I owe you for shipping or handling or tax or anything? And he goes, no, just pay for the thing. You seem to be a fan. So, and he was cool about it. We had a dialogue, and even said on there that Billy Cox is a great man, and this is a great way to do it. And I consider myself pretty lucky to get it. I mean, probably was about other people. I heard other people that they saw it, and they saw it sold right away as soon as they were there, and oh, shucks. But this is the Brian Michael Bendis run of Avengers, which I do love, that whole run. It's just before Jonathan Hickman takes over, and again, Bendis to Hickman is one of those things that worked really well. So
God,
right into the Infinity story. So I was a big fan. Just before it is the A versus X, the Avengers versus the X-Men run, which was pretty good. But then I really liked the NTAM story. And to get something with that many characters on it and a double-page spread usually would cost 5 times as much, and it was a bargain. I mean, it really was.
dude, that is freaking beautiful. I love how you have the colored one and you have that double-page spread as well. I mean,
Yeah.
oh God, that is.
I mean, the inking that he did, the pencil marks and the inking are just perfect right there. And it reminds me, it's Mike Mayu, so he kind of reminds me of just some of the best art I've ever, of that era.
And that artwork,
of
man,
the 90s.
That speaks to you, man. And what was cool was that story you said, that where they shrink down to go save the wasp, exactly like they did in the movies, pretty much, man. Yeah. I love that stuff.
When I remember all those rumors were going around when the movie was being, pitched or whatever was going on, like you're getting a trailer, I immediately said, I know this story. They did this before, Pym particles, or even it's the Pym machine. That's what this here is, the Pym machine. And then they have to go in Central Park is where they do it. And everybody goes except for Spider-Man, Red Hulk, and Wolverine. And those guys say, let's go get a burrito. And literally, Mark, they go. They were hungry, like, I didn't even know any good food around here. And that's what we'll wait for them to come back.
That is so awesome. Let's go ahead. Before we talk about Denny O'Neil and the way he, kind of affected us, because, he affected pretty much everyone that read his books. They were so freaking awesome, and they meant something to everybody. And I'm even going to tell you a little special message from Seawood19 tonight as well. But we got to get to that chat real quick. I'm sorry I didn't check the chat earlier, but we got Comic Man Andy. I think he was the first one in the chat tonight. Man, great to see you, Comic Man Andy. And we have our mod squad here. Chris Barrett, one of the best blue wrenches you're ever going to see in this comic book community. Jacqueline Fernandez, thank you so much. We're so glad you're here. And Kay Titus, konnichiwa, mi amigo, man, all the way from Japan. That's what it's all about, man. Richard R., amen, brother, man. Rest in peace. Denny O'Neil, one of the freaking best. Big shout out also to Ricky Markstadt here, who got Drew Manchu and Comic Man Andy into the oh gosh, what is that thing for gamers, the chat thing? Discord. That's Discord. Thank you very much. And I finally joined a Discord channel thanks to those three guys, Ricky and Andy and Drew. One of the best right here, Bake the Snake. And Bake, you're exactly right. It did look like Ezra Miller, my friend. That beautiful original art by Mayhew there. Chris Barrett loves it, man. He said there's a story about Ted Williams and Joe DiMaggio that goes something like there was a time when the GMs for the Yankees in Boston were drinking one night and traded players until they sobered up. We have to see all of those. See, you don't get those kind of stories in the modern times. You only get those with the legends from that legendary time. Like Chad said, greatest generation that ever lived, man. One of the best, man. So there it is, Ricky. Yeah, Ricky, it's Discord. My 2 kids are on it quite a bit, but I'm just kind of getting into it. So excuse me if I'm kind of slow on the thumbs and the typing in the Discord server of the Comic Corps. But fans, if you want to join that Discord Comic Corps server, Ricky Markstadt, he'll be putting that URL in the chat below. But fans, thanks again. Tonight, it's a night of looking back at the life of Denny O'Neil, what Denny O'Neil meant to us, some of our favorite stories. And Kat, I want to start with you. What did Denny O'Neil and his works in the history of comic books do for you? And what was some of the great things you remember that he worked on?
Honestly, I feel like Denny O'Neil is one of those like unsung gems where everyone talks about your Stan Lee. You talk about, Jack and Kirby. You talk about your Wolfman, your Perez, this, that. You talk about Neil Adams a lot, but you don't hear a lot of people talking about Denny O'Neil. I feel like Neil Adams gets a bit more of the all of the attention for a lot of these runs that Denny O'Neil wrote. I actually was going through and, just checking through my list right before this, just so I got everything correct. But I completely forgot that he created Azrael. I knew that he had done so much for Batman and had been such an incredible writer for Batman, but I completely forgot that he created that character, which I love so much. Not to mention the work that he did with Green Lantern, Green Arrow. He did the very iconic Speedy cover that I actually have in the studio somewhere. It's in a long box, but it's actually of Speedy shooting up, and that's one of those moments in comics that was so pivotal and so important for the time, and still today, it's so important. And I feel like the man didn't get enough credit where credit was due.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that more people will go back and remember the work that he did create, because he's done so much throughout the world of comics. And, a huge, incredible thank you for everything that he's done for us nerds and the characters that he has worked with.
Mm-hmm. I love me some Denny O'Neil. Chad, what are some of your Denny O'Neil memories?
I mean, let's, everybody, I don't mean to make this a speculation, but I mean, let's be,
we can be
real.
honest, brother. Yeah.
So some of the books, I mean, Kung Fu.
Yep.
Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil.
Yep.
The Question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right here.
His run on The Question is it's awesome. And there's a promo picture of him dressed up as The Question when he was writing The Question. I mean,
dude, that's freaking awesome.
What he did is just, yeah, like Kat said, he didn't get as much credit. Like everybody was in Neil Adams's line, but Denny was always right there. So I mean, he is the essential when it comes to writing. I mean, it's him, Stanley. Let's put them all into a category. Him, Stanley. If you want to talk Jack Kirby, and these are the guys that created who we follow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like our characters. The next generation, they're going to be talking like Donny Cates and Scott Snyder. But right now, George Perez, it's those old guys. And one of the things, and I hate to always throw it on there, like Joe Quesada and Denny O'Neil co-created Azrael together. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just think of some of those iconic, the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Nightfall.
Oh God, it was good stuff.
That's right in when I started coming back into collecting. So, it's terrible. He'll be missed, but instead of being sad, and let's celebrate, because he was in the forefront too. Just like Stan, he didn't see colors. He was anti-racism, and a lot of his books reflected that. Especially with his John Stewart run in Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I said it earlier when I was talking about Ted Williams, but in today's hierarchy, the grand scheme of things, right now we need to look back and look at what those guys had. The books, yeah, they're great. The stories are great, but what were the real meanings behind the books? And hopefully some people read. I mean, let's just not be cover grabs, and try to show off what our best cover is. What book might have a frog on it, or what I don't. Like actually read the story and see what the meaning behind it is, because there's a story, and that story has roots that can reflect. And there was a statement put out there the other day: people that don't look at history are doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
And DC's facing that right now. I mean, that's the situation that we're in. And if we don't learn from our past and look at what these guys taught us, I don't know. We just need to all come together.
What the great legend says, for comic books, you're right. I mean, they got cool covers, you got variants, you got stock certificates in your hand and you think you're going to get rich off, #1 collector issues. But the thing is, once you open that book, comic books are like people, they're people on, comics are people on the outside, but on the inside, there's some soul there. And that soul is some writing and some art that really can bring emotions out of yourself and make you feel emotions. And when you can feel those emotions, I mean, that's a wonderful thing, because I mean, hell, back in the day, JD, the golden age, for 10 cents, a kid reading a story can literally change that kid's future. It could change that kid's life. JD, you love your Denny O'Neil, man. Tell us some stuff about Denny O'Neil, man.
Well, I first got, obviously, with the Green Lantern runs and everything, was the first time I experienced with Neil Adams. And then as I started to love Doctor Strange, found out Steve Ditko was just doing plots after about Strange Tales issue 140. And then after that, he just gave the plots to Denny O'Neil to do all the dialogue himself. And imagine doing the dialogue of Doctor Strange, I mean, with the occult and the worlds and everything else, with eternity and the sands of time, so to speak. And, this is one of the most iconic Strange Tales books, not just for the cover by Marie Severin here, but the phenomenal story that's in here about Doctor Strange that continues. And you've got, he knew what he was doing. These are some of the best two there. Again, Chad mentioned the Question. 1986 came out. I have them all. I have them right here, ready to go. Some other Denny O'Neil, when he brought up Master of Kung Fu, funny story. Mike Mignola of Hellboy fame, his first inking job was.
Yeah, that's right. He was the inker on that.
Yeah, and his first time ever working was for Denny O'Neil. And one of my favorite Neil Adams, he said it today, is which I used in the promo, was. Denny was a teacher and always was and always will be the teacher for all of us. He taught us more. And that's when you get that kind of chops from Neil, that's really great. And Joe Quesada saying he's given me more than, you'll ever know. The great lines of the Batman writers, I mean, they're the ones who, if you think about it, you have the Batman 251 iconic cover, but the story inside is what made it. I mean, Batman became cool. We went from kind of like the canny cat Batman to Neil and Denny creating a Dark Knight, kind of a true vigilante hero.
Hey, JD, and if it wasn't for Denny, we'd have no Red Hood.
No. And you probably wouldn't have Nighthawk either.
Because ultimately he killed him off.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much that Denny did. And as a teacher, the Jonathan Stewart run, the great Speedy doing Smack. You're right. I mean, it was just a great time. I mean, he's going to be missed for sure. And I don't know what he did later on. I know he started with Marvel doing Modeling with Millie and Millie the Model, which were humor books, and mostly written by Stan. And then Stan brought in like the, it was an old series from the 50s, but this was like 1962, 63. Denny was doing a lot of the Millie before he was doing the Strange Tales, and he also did some Daredevil, early Daredevils.
Yeah,
and I think he did some Ghost Riders in 1970, the 70s Ghost Riders, 74, like the second year he was around. Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, not Curtis Slater, the modern ones. And Denny's one of those that, it's him. It was Marv Wolfman for me. It was Denny O'Neil. It was those guys. It was Walt Simonson. And Denny passing, hit me a little harder than I thought it would. When I heard this morning, I immediately texted Chad and Legend and said, "Man, that's just what we have to talk about tonight." Because Alan Bellman was 93. He was about 81. But Denny was one of those guys that we all saw at a con not that long ago,
Yeah, I mean,
he was in Baltimore.
He was in Baltimore, wasn't he? Yeah. Dude, it's so cool because like JD, like Chad say, the Neil Adams, huge line, 2 tables, probably like 4 times of a booth, 4 booths in one, some mega center looking like the Walmart of the comic showroom floor or something over there. But man, Denny O'Neil and you know, some of the other folks over there, like on the smaller tables, you know, you didn't hardly see anyone going over there. And I think it's because a lot of the, you know, the new collectors, you know, of course, they're reading all the new stuff and everything like that, the stuff that they see each and every week on Wednesday. But man, sometimes you just got to go back in time to see the great things. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if it wasn't for Denny O'Neil, you know, John Stewart wouldn't have been on that Justice League animated cartoon I watched back in the 90s. I wouldn't know who John Stewart was. And like Chad said, and just freaking groundbreaking, you know, to have, like, you know, a black man become a Green Lantern. You know, he said, I'm taking this into my own control, you know, and I'm going to put the ring on and do some ring slinging with it. You know, one of the things I liked, and I've been showing this book off for the last month, and my coworker's pissed because she says I need to bring it back to the library because I've had it out for like months. But you know, you got the Shazam from '73,
Yep.
And then you got Denny O'Neil right here. You know, he was the writer. So what they did at DC, you know, they finally got the rights or whatnot to the original Captain Marvel. They couldn't call him Captain Marvel per se because we had Captain Marvel of the Marvel universe. But one of the things I love, one of my favorite issues, is issue 2, and I've showed this previously, but it's basically, you know, Mr. Mind, and he's trying to destroy, you know, landmarks. And so you got St. Louis, you got the big old arch right there, the St. Louis Arch, and I love the title down under the arch, The Astonishing Arch Enemy, you know. And through the story, you get little fun little Easter eggs, and this was a fun book for Denny to write. You know, the DC was able to get C.C. Beck back in action, you know, back in the saddle. When C.C. Beck originally did these, you know, artwork for the Golden Age, I mean, he was a Denny O'Neil age, you know, around the 70s in his elder years. But man, you know, Denny O'Neil, you know, nailed this book. And what I love about it is Captain Marvel's flying by St. Louis, and he says, oh, St. Louis, it's a fine city, beautiful, and the birthplace of many great men, statesmen, even writers. I mean, and of course, you go to Wikipedia, look up Denny O'Neil facts, and you'll find out that he is from St. Louis. I mean, so you got to love that. He said, even great writers. That's freaking perfect. Tonight, you know, I read this book here before we got on here. I read this off the DC Universe app, of course. JD Talking the Question by Denny O'Neil. And just like JD says, the Dennis Cowan's pretty cool. It's kind of it's dirty. It's LA noir style art. You know, it's kind of, you know, crime style, but you're not going to get the big flashy red cape wearing, or, you know, Wonder Woman whipping the lasso. So, you know, Question's not really a superhero book. It's more of a investigative reporter uncovering the truths of evil in his city, Hub City. And it's awesome because it's gritty. It's like a James Patterson novel. The writing is excellent. The dialogue is excellent. If you've never read the 80s run of The Question, check that thing out on a DC Universe. I mean, it's freaking amazing. But The Question, man, one of my favorites. Love that character. And what's cool about the character, you know, I was going to say, JD, you were going to laugh at this one, that, you know, you wouldn't see John Stossel or Geraldo Rivera, you know, putting the blank face on and beating the crap out of people. You know what I mean?
We left that to Vic Sage to do. And
yes.
Another thing about those covers, those were all early Bill Sienkiewicz covers, by the way.
Yeah.
Very early Bill Sienkiewicz did a lot of the covers of The Question. And I kind of compare it to, like when I first started reading that to when I first started reading Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, just in the, it was like Sandman was obviously a lot more adult with Vertigo and everything. It came out much later, about 7 years after this.
Mm-hmm.
But The Question was that first time you didn't have a mega superpower or anything else going on. You didn't have a reporter, Vic Sage, like we said, in Hub City.
Yeah.
And
Street level style.
It's just different kind of, and it was just like Denny did. It was different at the time. It was revolutionary, like he did with Speedy doing Smack, or introducing John Stewart as a African-American Green Lantern, which was phenomenal, and
Yeah.
it's still my favorite Green Lantern. I know I tick people off about that, but
Yeah.
Miles is my favorite Spider-Man, and John Stewart's been my Green Lantern.
Well, you bring up a great point, JD, with that, because Chris Barrett says Denny was the man who brought the social issues to comics. It's very ironic that he passed away during a socially turbulent time. We also have we got TJ the Slab Dragon, man. Great to see you, TJ. O'Neil changed the direction of comic stories forever. Freaking yeah, man. Yes, he did. So cool. O'Neil and Adams were to comics what the Beatles were to music, man. Amen, man. That's right. And I want to give a big shout out to my good buddy Damien here. Hey guys, O'Neil gave us decades and decades of unique stories. He did that. And then also Sleepy Reader says Denny taught Frank Miller. And then William Bird has this to add. William Bird says, my first Daredevil comics I bought off the rack were the Denny O'Neil issues he wrote after Frank Miller left. 196 with Wolverine guest star is still one of my faves all time.
One of Frank Miller's quotes today on his Twitter was, if I can get it right, was he brought adventure to my comic. In other words, he taught me about adventure in comics. Denny did some early Daredevils, and then Frank took over for a while, and then Denny came back and finished it up, and he said, he taught me the true adventure to love in comics. I thought it was a great line by Frank Miller right there. That was a great one.
Ricky Marsteck has a good line going out to Chris Barrett in the chat. He says, Shazam, Captain Marvel, or Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. You know, I think the whole Marvel family's freaking awesome.
Even Uncle Dudley. Gotta love Uncle Dudley.
I love Uncle Dudley too. And then of course Chris Barrett being the wrestling fan, and JD is going to be on the hunt tonight. JD's probably going to be slapping some people around with some knife edge chops tonight. He says, don't make me slap Stossel. I won't hold back like Dr. D. Of course, Dr. D, David Schultz. Denny freaking O'Neil. Kat, what about the question? That's one of your favorite characters, Vic Sage. What about some of the question, Kat?
The question's kind of always been that, like, outside the lines DC character, where, like, you know, Batman was going on and doing his own thing. The Justice League was over here, and the question didn't care at all what anyone was doing because he had his own little, you know, ploys going on here and there. And the question was and still is always a very intriguing character because he was so different. Where everyone gives credit to Batman for being the greatest detective, and, you know, the Bat family for being these great detectives, being so insightful, so great at this and that. But the question's the one you don't see coming.
That's right.
And he always looks at it from that strange angle.
Between the lines of the reality he's living in, man. It's awesome.
I always remember, I know this isn't technically an O'Neil line, but I always remember the moment from Justice League Unlimited where he's discussing the little ecklets on shoelaces and their sinister true purpose. And like that's the question.
The fine details, you know, the question. He was kind of like a truth seeker, you know. He was Vic Sage. He was given the legend's truth before the great legend was even freaking born.
There's an image in I believe it's in an O'Neil question, but there's an image where it's this huge pyramid scheme that all leads back to Girl Scout cookies.
No, the Lady Shiva, yeah.
And
yeah, Lady Shiva. Yeah, I read about her in issue 1. Yeah.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
And if you actually look at all of it, it all leads back to the Girl Scouts, and they're to blame for all of it.
Well, you know, in issue number 1 of Denny O'Neil's question, Lady Shiva, you know, the first battle he got in with the Reverend's little thugs, she was just standing there not doing anything. But then finally the Reverend, you know, said, okay, we're going to lure him here. And of course, Question knows it's a setup, and he gets out there and it's just Lady Shiva. And then she surprises him and he didn't see it coming. Oh man, that was a great issue number 1. So yeah, like I said, y'all need to read that book. Chad, do you have some more stuff you want to say about Denny O'Neil?
Yeah, like, so, and I'll just give my examples real quick. Okay. So here is a very, very powerful panel from Green Lantern. He says, are you off saving blue skins, orange skins? and it just the dialogue here humbles Hal Jordan. So from like showing him that everybody is equal and everything to that degree, this shows what Denny was about. But let's get into that thing that we all love, and that's called speculation, right?
Yeah. Yep. We're gonna have it.
And it's gonna happen. And here's my 6 degrees of separation type deal of hey, let's face it, are you a Damien fan? If you are, Denny O'Neil created Damien.
It's true.
That's right.
Yeah, right here in this scene.
Yep, the Ra's al Ghul scene.
Yeah, so you know what? He also created our favorite Red Hood.
Yes, he did.
Yes, the Jason Todd storyline. That's right.
And let's talk. You guys want to talk Dick? I'll talk Dick.
Nightwing.
Yep.
First solo issue was by Denny O'Neil.
He was a mainstay. He's just
Now,
so good.
now you want to talk so he's super influential when it comes to Batman. Here we go. What's this? Yeah, Azrael. This is going to be our first appearance of Azrael.
He did Nightfall and Night Quest, yeah.
So this is when Bruce comes back to take over the mantle, and Jean-Paul has already gone completely wacko. And at this point, it was a bat costume, and then eventually turned into Azrael. The other one that everybody tends to forget is this book.
That's true.
Yep. Huntress.
So he created Raj, and was such influential on Batman and everything that Batman did, right? Mm-hmm. He revitalized the Joker. He made Two-Face relevant again. But he also did a really cool book that everybody tends to forget that actually was one of the main books that got me back into comics.
Yes. Yep.
Which is
Denny O'Neil and Ordway.
Not only did he do part of that, the Batman the movies, but the Batman the animated series is taken from all of Denny's works. Mm-hmm. The whole storyline of the Batman adventure stories,
dark and gritty.
Yep, the dark and gritty, the demon stories. And one thing about the Question, he always did crossovers with characters he did before. He didn't like grab a Superman, but he did some Superman. He did Superman versus Muhammad Ali. And made that
the Treasury.
He made the Treasury edition.
KatRen loves the one where it was, Denny's characters, the Question, and of course Huntress in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon. I mean, that was freaking phenomenal. That's one, Kat. That's one of your favorites, isn't it?
That's my ship right there.
That's your favorite episode.
That's my ship right there. Like I told you, when they came out with the first issue of the brand new Question for the DC Black Label. That one variant cover where you see the Question on the roof in that pose, I said, the only way you could make this cover any better is if you just put Huntress right there, and it'd be perfect.
Right
That's
there.
all it says, Huntress.
And Kat, I hate to say it because everybody is going to go out and get these books now.
Oh yeah,
but
especially the signed books.
Yeah, I have this book. I do have this book, and I just sent a book to Legend. I think you should be getting it on Monday.
Thanks, man.
It's an actual book. It's a hardback book.
Oh, that's right. I know the one. Yep.
But if you guys want a really good book that everybody's going to overlook, go get this book, and then you'll know who Denny O'Neil is.
Yes.
The DC Comics Guide to Writing Comics. Denny O'Neil, one of the best.
I'm actually trying to get on. I was trying to watch Twitter, see if Alan Moore was going to say anything. Because I know Alan Moore was very much a big Denny O'Neil fan.
But
you know what? One more thing I want to say about Denny O'Neil. In the 1960s, when the Batman comics were kind of campy and everything, of course, from the 1960s show, all of that stuff. When Denny O'Neil started writing Batman, he brought it back to the darker roots. Of course, like JD said and Chad said, the Batman animated series, I mean, they took the Dark Knight and made it dark. I mean, if it wasn't for Denny O'Neil, we would never might have this.
We would never have
Batusi.
There would never have been a Tim Burton's Batman. There would never have
True.
been the animated series.
Frank Miller wouldn't have done it.
And Frank Miller wouldn't have done it. And everybody else now wouldn't want that book. Every other creator, that's what they want. They aspire to get Batman, and they want that to be their masterpiece. Bendis said it to us in a Zoom call. He said, I want Frank Miller. That's who he looked up to, right?
Yep.
Did Daredevil. He wanted to do Batman as his
idol.
Yeah, it's his Mona Lisa, right? It's his
Good call.
grand design. This is it. This is what he wants. And most writers want that book to be their grand design. And at this point, let's tip a cap, have a drink, and pour it out. Denny, you'll be missed, and your work will live on. Thank you.
Thanks
All
for the
right, Clinkies,
stories.
everyone.
Thanks for the stories.
Well, Chad, you were going to talk a little bit about some updated news on the whole DC and the Diamond situation. What do you have for us with that, man?
You know what? I'm not going to be able to do it justice. If you guys get a chance, go to John Suntress, his Word Balloon. Check it out. John last night did an amazing interview with Scott Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Snyder at one point, I wanted to comment. I talked to John this afternoon and I said, dude, I am so sorry. He goes, I saw you in the chat, but I figured you'd want to say more. I said, dude, you had him talking the entire time. And it was a fantastic interview. It actually talked a lot about Didio.
Oh, yeah.
His relationship with Didio and how they just constantly butted heads. But those guys are reporters. They know what they do. We just fool around on YouTube and talk. But check out Word Balloon. DC though did announce today. Every Friday they make an announcement to their LCSs, and unfortunately, this one today was it was okay. It wasn't anything super bad. They have to extend their partnership with Diamond through the middle of July. So after last week, if you haven't checked it out, go check out Word Balloon. They had a special guest named Chad on there, and we were talking. And they also, at the time, they didn't have international. DC didn't put any international shipping together, so they kind of had to go back and talk about some things and also talk about what they're doing with the trades. So as of right now, DC is going to be with Diamond through the middle of July. After that, the LCSs will be having to go to Midtown or DCBS to get the comics. They also will have to then go to Penguin to get the trades, and they're making moves. I honestly think it's going to be McFarlane that they're going to have to go through to get the toys.
Mm-hmm.
And then last is Sideshow for any statues and collectibles. So
Okay.
there's a lot of moving pieces right now. So these are characters that are very dear to my heart. Look at my wall.
DC.
I mean,
mostly DC. You got a little Spider-Man love though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good mix. I got Transformers and the Turtle, the Avengers. They're all here. We got Spidey, Miles is right here.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I am a DC fan because those characters mean a lot to me. I'm just worried what's going to happen to them in the long run, and I'm really hoping that something good happens. I hope they don't repeat what happened in the past, but only the future can tell, right?
That's right, man. Me too.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, a lot of people probably Justice League Dark was really good. I liked it a lot. I'm one of those people that like the Swamp Thing,
Fantastic,
and Constantine, and I'm just a fan of that gritty Vertigo was my big thing. I tell everybody this, that if it wasn't for Scalped, JD was fed up with comics, fed up with the Marvel scene, fed up with the DC scene, and then they put out Scalped, and I said, where has this been? That's like probably somebody getting that Denny O'Neil book in 1970 saying, Speedy's doing Smack, Jason Aaron doing a gritty story, his first work. on Vertigo, and I was a big Vertigo fan, still am, and I just look at it now, and I think people are going to miss out on some good stuff because there's some good writers at DC. There's some great. This is the golden age of writing right now that people are talking about, and I agree with it. I mean, I'm not going to knock Tom King. He's got a fan base, and if you have a fan base, you're doing the right thing. So I just hope that everything goes well with this and everybody works it out eventually.
But let's end on a good note, man. Kat, is that what's moving on your left-hand side?
That's Jean.
Okay, I thought it was like Mark trying to do something.
No, it's Jean. She's on the pillow. That's why the pillow keeps moving.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kat, tell me, we're gonna wrap this up. Then I'm gonna give a little message from that I'm gonna read from Jim McLaughlin about Denny O'Neil. But Kat, what do you got going on your channel this week coming up?
Coming up, I have a couple figure reviews coming out. I just recently worked on some stuff for Be Care Behind the Bar, a couple other things coming out. Also, Legend and I have something coming out. I believe it's coming up next Tuesday. We are going to have a part 2 to our MFK because we didn't actually finish it Tuesday. And it was a lot of fun. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, one of the big things that happened in that episode was Legend saying that he would seriously bang Granny Goodness.
She's awesome.
Okay.
Apparently, she's really, really hot.
Well, I just loved her in the Superman animated series. But yeah, we're going to be doing that. And then hopefully we got to get with some of the rest of the core folks and find out when we're going to be doing our next Choose Your Own Adventure. Yeah.
Unicorn style.
Yeah, it's going to be a unicorn Choose Your Own Adventure. How about you, Chad? What do you got going on next week?
I got a new mic coming tomorrow.
That's right.
All right.
And then I got my barbecue coming on the 18th.
That's what's up, dude.
So I could do a giant unboxing of that. And I'm trying to work out the details with a couple people, but I am doing a giant AOK to I'll tell you who it's going to. It's going to KatRen, it's going to Carson, and it's going to Drew. I'm giving them my entire collection.
Yep.
And I'm running a U-Haul and driving it to Indiana. So I just have to. We're waiting on when Carson's going to be off, and I'll be driving it your way.
He's going totally digital, people. Digital hardcovers and trades. So you're going to save up a lot of room in the house and get some more action figures too, of course.
We have 72 long boxes coming to Indiana.
Dang. JD, my friend.
Drive.
Hey, JD, tonight you've got a special appearance on Tony Sanders' The Hunt. So
I'm going for the gold. Yeah,
dude, you are, man. What else you got going on the JD Comics and Golden guys?
Well, I will definitely be doing the Golden guys in the next week. We're working on a fun topic. I'm not going to spoil it right now because I just want to make sure we can get all the pieces in place. Like we always do the spinner rack and we do everything else. We're coming up with a new segment. We're enjoying just talking Golden Age and speaking to some of the fans of the show. They wanted to see more of certain things, and so we took that into account, and we're looking forward to that. I mean, we do it because we enjoy it. I mean, that's the best thing about it. And I'll be also looking. I'm selling quite a few comics to get some more. Pretty much, I'm upgrading a lot. I think being a completist all these years, I didn't have to have every issue. I just kind of realized, I'm a big fan of the omnibuses now, and
they're cool.
Large fan of trades, and the digital world has totally taken me over. And like my wife said, she goes, 40,000 comics in the living room is a bit much. But
golly, okay, I didn't know you had that many.
I have a lot. I have a lot at a store. I keep them at a store over here and at dollar bins, and now I should go through them because I know there's probably one of them ultimates in there. I don't know because I was buying everything. I mean, I must have had
one of them Fallout Miles Morales.
Probably not no variant or anything back then because I didn't understand variants. But I'm also on the hunt for one more piece of original art we're working on that hopefully maybe we can get that, and that's my second pop-up.
Once you get that, we're gonna be checking it out on the Golden Guys. Chad, there's somebody special in the chat, isn't there?
Yeah, there's two people. One
Bob World.
One big shout out, and AKA Mr. Bolo. Mr. Bolo is going to be doing something special with the comic. Well, it's going to be with a lot of the Comic Corps members coming up in August. We're probably going to let those guys be announcing that on their show next week. Nice. So make sure you guys sub those guys up over at Simple Man. Big super shout out to Bob World. And I gotta ask you guys, and hit me up on private messenger if anybody knows how to fix computers, especially laptops, or if anybody knows of a laptop that has a touchpad on it. Hit me up, and I want to help Bob out on something that he's going through right now. He's in desperate need of some help, and here it is. I'm going to shout it out to the community. Community, if you guys can help out with a computer, Bob needs some help in the worst way. Hit me up privately. He's got some computer issues, and I'd like to see if we can come together as a group and try to figure out how we can help him out. So please let me know.
Bob World is so instrumental in giving us some excellent intros and outros and all of our bumpers on the Comic Corps channel. And, it's time to, help out Bob World as he's having some computer issues himself. Well, you know what? I want to thank all y'all. We got John's Comics with Kids in the chat and Roundtable. Thank y'all so much. I'm going to be reading a little special message from Jim McLaughlin, founder and president of the Hero Initiative. And he's saying some very kind words about Denny O'Neil. And hello, Kat. Sorry about that. I'm hitting the wrong button. And we're going to read you those real quick. And, Denny O'Neil, he will be missed. So, Jim McLaughlin reflects on his last conversation with the great Denny O'Neil. The last conversation I had with Denny O'Neil was a very Denny conversation. He wanted to get back to work because he felt he hadn't done enough yet. Who the hell am I? He asked. I'm supposed to be this great pacifist. I'm the guy talking about peaceful solutions to problems. Look at the world we haven't learned yet. Very Denny. At age 81, he still hadn't done enough. The fire was still in his belly. Denny did more than most. Along with a small coterie of like minds in the late 60s, early 70s, Denny helped comics grow up. It's reductive to simply say that he helped bring real-world problems and issues of social justice into comics. But that's a lot of what he did. Denny had the vision to do that, but added the very human touch needed as well. I've been reading about you, how you work for the Blue Skins, and how on a planet someplace you helped out the Orange Skins, and you done considerable for the Purple Skins, only their skins you never bothered with, the Black Skins. I want to know how come. Answer me that, Green Lantern. It's one thing to see the macro problem and to have the genius to bring it to a superhero comic. It's totally another to bring the heart and humanity of this simple yet powerful dialogue to address that problem. Denny O'Neil did both. Life is full of odd synchronicities, connections made and connections missed. Denny passed away a mere 2 days after his penultimate published story appeared in DC Comics, The Joker 80th anniversary book. The title was Introducing the Dove Corps. It was a twisted Joker story. Bonkers, the book editor, Ben Abernathy, said, but had at its heart a very Denny concept. The Dove Corps, a UN-backed task force that would handle peacekeeping missions truly peacefully. They carried no lethal weapons and were pledged to never take a life. Denny's notion was to introduce the Dove Corps here and start squawking to DC to do an ongoing series. Alas, the opportunity never came to pass. Denny's final story will appear in DC's Green Lantern 80th anniversary book. Spoiler alert, it focuses on one of Denny's favorite books, Henry David Thoreau's Walden. And what happens when the heroes start punching too hard? Maybe there's a better path. Again, very Denny. As I look at my desk calendar on June 12th, 2020, item number 9 is call Denny, followed by his phone number. It's kind of pointless now as I look back. It looks like that our last fire in the belly conversation I had with Denny was June 5th. I'm glad I had it. Connections made, connections missed. What has the world learned? Not many people know it. But Denny lived in Lower Manhattan among Dorothy Day and other members of the Catholic worker movement. For a brief period in the 60s, Denny was part of that movement, and Day was a partial inspiration for Dr. Leslie Tompkins, a Batman supporting character Denny created. Today, our culture's memories of the CWM have been dusted off thanks to Martin Gugino, the 75-year-old protester grievously injured by Buffalo, New York police, who was also a member of the movement. What have we learned? Today, sorry about that. Had to move my thumb on this. Today, our culture's memories of the CWM have been dusted off. And also today is my 11-year-old son's last day of school. And in our pandemic world, his school days have been maybe 3 hours. I resolved to start listing out one topic a day for 30 days. Things he could look up and research over the summer vacation, and we'd have a discussion about them. And inspired by my conversation with Denny just a week ago, I wrote Dorothy Day in spot number 7, synchronicity. The circle will be unbroken by and by without knowing it. Denny reached out through a lifetime of actions and a conversation at age 81, 2 generations down the pike, to make sure that in this world and beyond, damn it, we will learn sooner or later. Denny O'Neil, you done considerable.